Javier's sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Melina. This is chapter 15, The Houses of Barillas. Melina stayed in Veragero for 1 year to help Lucrezia settle in, and while she was away, Sassari got attacked by a mercenary band of no more than 327 soldiers. They were intercepted by a bizarre group of plummen, whose weapons did not kill but knocked them out, and after much investigation it was discovered that the Plum men belonged to the Madan Legion of Mercenary Corps. Plum is like they have feathers. A large segment of them had been hired to learn a new way of fighting, combined with mastering some bizarre weapons made of clogs and obsidians, and this was their first maiden voyage. What became of those mercenaries that had been captured was unknown, and they were sent on a suicide mission to test the Sassari fortification, and they were ambushed on the way there, and it was almost as if they were expected, and there was plenty of stock of this issue in the palace, and the nobles and lords thought Melina had something to do with it. However, she had not sent any messages, nor did she have any visible contact with the Madame's legion. All this crazy business made the Mad Queen of Veragero paranoid, and she tasked the Countess Elaine to keep tabs on Melina from time to time, and Elaine had a large spy network, and as such she watched Melina's moves carefully. And in spite of her network, her spies had a knack for losing track of Melina, and it got to such a point that her spies started sending funny reports to excuse their failures. And regardless, she was not noting the rise of prominent members of society that were consorting with Melina. And one day Librana summoned Elaine to her chambers, and Librana was in the midst of squeezing into a corset, and her chambermaid was getting her dressed, and Elaine said before the dresser, as she waited for the lady to speak first, and wheezing, Librana said, "Have you found out anything bad about Melina? That girl, there is something unnatural about her." "How so, my ladies?" asked Elaine, and she was used to Librana having episodes of paranoia, and such episodes usually ended with someone executed or assassinated. "The girl, she's too perfect. She genuinely loves her clients, and the peasants in town worship the ground she walks upon. And she is highly religious for a courtesan," said Librana, bringing to mind all of the previous reports by Elaine. "No one is that perfectly imperfect unless she's trying to hide something." "Nonsense, my lady. The girl is just a courtesan. There can be no honor in someone who practices such a profession," said Elaine. Said Librana, not genuine convinced, and then she said, "Just to be safe, we should have her killed." "I wouldn't recommend it, my lady. The girl has a threat of important dignitaries at her heel, and her death will make us look highly suspicious," said Elaine. "They have her suffering an accidental death, a heart attack or something. Get the high priest of Artsy to work on this right away," suggested Librana, putting on the first layer of makeup. Like the high priest of Artsy, that's the death priest, so like, just get the death priest to cast a death spell and be done with it. "Yes, my lady," said Elaine, bowing. Whenever Librana was possessed by such a fancy, Elaine went to report to Bersamet in private. Bersamet was in his study within the speech section of the palace, and each part of the palace was themed after a creature that Bersamet had slain. And the section was dedicated to learning, and it had a chaotic blend of lions, nude maidens decorating each column, combined with numerous libraries dedicated to fine arts. And Bersamet's study was filled with drafts and wooden models of buildings, and he was in the middle of hand-carving a little house when Elaine knocked on his door. And Bersamet said in a harsh voice, "Come in, but make it quick, I'm busy." And when Elaine entered the room, Bersamet looked over his shoulder and said, "Ah, it's you. Grab a seat, stay as long as you like." Elaine drew up a stool and sat facing Bersamet, and between them stood his work table with all of his figurines. And she started as thus, "I came to talk to you about Melina." "What about her? Does she keep singing in Spanish? Normally I would have her publicly shamed, though I find her singing truly enchanting," said Bersamet, smiling. "Yes, but it's not about that. You see, your wife wants Melina dead," said Elaine. "Which one?" said Bersamet, chuckling. "Your wife wants it." I said, "Which one?" "Queen Librana, sir," said Elaine. Bersamet heard Elaine's take on Melina, and laughing, he said, "Tell my wife to leave Melina alone. She's a good girl, and I love her, and she's a great person, and I wish my people were more like her." "You surprise me, sire," said Elaine, bowing. "Please do not bow. How long have we known each other, Elaine? And I do ever grow bored of the boorish noble politics. And since you were simpler during my primes, when all you needed to form an alliance was a sharp axe and a severed head or two," said Bersamet, sighing. "Ah, the good old days, when all you needed to do was kill a fool to get people to do the way you were." "One cannot be in a perpetual war forever, sire. There comes a time for peace, and there is a time for war," said Elaine. "True," said Bersamet, nodding. Sir, if I may, I was wondering why you forbid people from speaking and writing other languages, inquired Elaine. If people spoke other languages, it would make the job of my spies masters all the harder, explained Bersamin. That can't be all, my lord, insisted Elaine. Like, nobody's allowed to speak another language because, like, the people eavesdrop, my spies won't be able to understand their plotting conspiracy. Yeah. Bersamin looked up from his work, and his clear blue eyes flickered red for a second, and smiling he said, it is one of many ways of destroying a people's culture in order to create a sense of unity. As long as there are petty differences like languages and religion, then the citizens will not have a sense of unity. If I had any time to spare, I would crossbreed everyone to form one unified race. A man can dream. Elaine couldn't help but smile, and she found his insane idea quite amusing. Elaine was about to say something, but then she remembered that this man had decapitated her mother, and she left his presence in grim silence. It was at the Bersamin did sense that she was withholding information, but he chose not to inquire about it, for he didn't consider her a threat. Elaine did have some key information about Melina, and the girl was spreading the wild rumor that Bersamin was dying, and this rumor was causing uncertainty among Bersamin's rank. Though not speaking a word about it, a few key generals were preparing for such an eventuality. So, like, while one year around there, she's telling her, oh, did you know that Bersamin is, like, about to croak?
Is it that they know what Marduk is going to do, or just...
Well, she's Marduk's sister, so, yeah. She knows that her brother's planning something, so then she's just breeding the seeds of... Like, this one takes place parallel to the Marduk story. The next day, Melina had an audience with Bersamin, and Lucrezia was attending this proceeding, and she was making a mental note on how Melina handled politics in Verageddon, and the intrigue in this court had to be subtler, since the lords could easily sniff out liars. But when Melina said to the enthroned Bersamin, I would like to request a portion of the tax surplus to fund a few public projects for Verageddon, and I would only require that your eminence match half the amount already provided by my patrons. I could easily just give you double the sum, said Bersamin. Your generosity knows no bounds. My patrons are eager to get this project underway, said Melina, bowing. And Lucrezia handed Bersamin a message with the information pertaining to the project, and he then added the message to his scribe, and then he asked, why a public bath? I am deeply concerned about the people's hygiene, as you may have well known, and even with all of the renovations, people rarely use their home baths, and this public bath will serve as a public reminder that they need to bathe at least once a day, said Melina. Do you have a blueprint already drawn out? Inquired Bersamin. Certainly, said Melina, making a sign, and Cedric appeared from behind a column carrying a large parcel with papers. At Bersamin's signal, 5 of his servants entered the audience hall carrying a large desk, and Cedric spread out the design for the 5 public baths as well as the map. Bersamin frowned when he noted that each of the baths was located in a different neighborhood, and this would allow easy access to the bath regardless of status and position. What was the entrance fee for the bath? 2 golden coins, said Melina. That's a little cheap, don't you think? Said Bersamin, shaking his head. I was planning on selling one-of-a-kind perfume and rejuvenating cream ointments as well as amenities, and this item will in part subsidize the cheap entrance fee, said Melina, smiling. How often will you clean out the stagnant water? Twice a day, said Melina. Clean water is not a free commodity, Melina, and even if the fools in the city would like to pretend that it's never ending, said Bersamin, frowning. No problem. Cedric can enchant the pots to make themselves purifying, said Melina, pointing at Cedric. Cedric gulped when Bersamin's eyes fell on him, and he averted his gaze, and it was said that Bersamin had an instinctive hatred for magic users, and he mostly tolerated their presence due to their usefulness in battle, and since he had finally consolidated his dominion over the continent, it meant that magic users had outlived their usefulness. So magic has other uses as well, and you have my permission to enchant the bath, but please try not to blow out the patrons during the cleaning process, said Bersamin condescending. It's fine, just to be safe we won't receive any patrons while the baths are getting cleaned up, said Melina, smiling. A good number of village spies were hired to help in the construction of the baths, and his bath was composed of 3 large pools of water, and one of the pools was for men, the other for women and children. And it also had a steam room and a small bath for just regular showers, and in the large public bath there was a raised stage where the band would play music to the bathing audience. And there was also a bar on the side, which also provided suites for the little ones. And the bath also offered laundry service, and after taking a bath the guests would walk out wearing clean clothing. And each bath had a permanent barbering service, and the barber was tasked with making certain that all of the guests washed behind the ears as well. Each bath's decoration was designed to appeal to each caste, and Vergero society was divided into 5 castes: warriors, priests, nobles, merchants, and peasants. As the no classes made it to a point not to mingle except for business, none realized that all of the baths were highly optimized, and the quality of the items and the nature of them was catered to match the visitor's wealth and status, and each bath house had a unique theme. And even till this day, the baths are still in use, and the magic still holds despite the damage the building suffered during the war. And only the pools of water remain intact, and it was during the late fall when the project was completed. And in order to speed up the task, Melina hired 4 times the amount of workforce that such a project demanded.
I have a question. Why is this book so obsessed with hygiene?
I don't know. You see, or why is Melina so obsessed with hygiene?
In specific, like, is there like a character reason for it?
Oh,
Because I know that she always notices the white of the teeth and the...
Yeah, she's a bit of a neat freak. Or maybe the narrator is a neat freak.
Mm.
The person who's telling the story about Melina, maybe he's a neat freak.
Interesting. Mm.
The job suited them well.
Sorry.
By winter, the baths were officially open for business, and Bessemer attended the inauguration party and took the first bath in the building. Following the suit, the sages who were available also bathed, and his concubines also populated the women's section of the baths. And since Bessemer was from the warrior caste, he went to the warrior bath, and this bath was closest to the palace. All of the baths in total could accommodate 2,500 patrons. Elaine also joined Melina in the women's section, and while the maidens were joining a comfortable conversation, Elaine commented, "This is rather pleasant." "I know," said Melina, coming to sit beside her. Our pools were 5 feet deep, and they were surrounded by steps which slowly led into the deeper end of the pool. Melina mused a little while dipping the golden strands of her hair, and Elaine commented, "This is certainly a lot larger than we had expected." "We got some last-minute funding, so I decided to add a few extra pools," said Melina, smiling. "Yes, but was it really necessary to tear down those old manors?" inquired Elaine. "Those old wooden manors were a fire hazard, and no one has lived with them in years. Their marble flooring was at least useful for our purposes," said Melina. Elaine narrowed her eyes and said, pointing to a couple, There's a man and a woman there." "I see them. I'm not blind," said Melina, shrugging his shoulder. "Aren't you going to do anything about it?" asked Elaine. "Why should I? They are bathing together, and Bersamin is bathing with Librana in the other room, so it's okay. See, more couples are taking baths together, and you need to learn to relax, Countess Elaine, and stop keeping track of everyone's business and live your own life for a change. You are not getting any younger. Have you even started getting married? Are you having children?" "It's too late for me. I'm already 32 years old, and it's impossible to get married at my age," said the Countess sadly. "Dances. I know a lot of guys who will be more than happy to marry you," said Melina, patting Elaine's back. "I mean, look at you. There's not a single wrinkle on your face, and you have lovely wearing hair and large black eyes. You are healthy, and you have most of your teeth. Speaking of which, I can have that rotting tooth pulled out of you today if you like. If you leave it there, you can easily die of an infection. Time to take that teeth out." Elaine started laughing when she heard this, and she found it amusing how Melina went from praising her to pointing out her faults. "Sighing," she commented, "I would rather you let it fall on its own, Melina. Last time I visited the barber, the tooth pulling was especially painful." Elaine noticed Sarah peeping into the woman's bath, and she was surprised that none of the maidens minded his presence. And Melina explained, "The warrior caste of Veragero has a nomadic classman roots, and it was traditionally typical for warrior men and women to bathe together, only the nobility follows the caste system to the core, and it is just their way of resisting integration into the empire." So like the warriors are more chill about stuff, while all of the people from the conquered territories are still stuffy in their old ways. Elaine smiled when she saw 2 children running across the pool area, and they went to the bar to order a drink, and she frowned when she noticed that the barkeep was serving the heavy liquor. Instead of drinking it, the children took them back to their parents. Melina noted where Elaine was looking, and pointing to the left, she said, "The children have to bathe with their nannies, and it is more of a precaution to keep them from drowning. And the pool also has a few instructors to teach them how to swim." Melina got out of the bath, and a maid came and wrapped her in a towel. Elaine followed behind her, and while wrapped in towels, the maids dried their hair. and added incense to give the hair pleasant aroma. The hair was then brushed and combed until it finished drying, and suddenly Melina put two of her fingers in Elaine's mouth and swiftly pulled out the cavity. It's like she stuck her fingers in my... Elaine hunched over in pain with blood flowing from her mouth, and Sarah, who was at the bar, came running towards Melina, and leaning over Elaine, he said to Melina, "Are you insane? What do you do that for?" Well, now you see why there's so much emphasis on hiding, because like Melina's like, if she really sees a rotten tooth, she'll pull it out without any anesthesia. "Forgive me for trying to help. Make yourself useful and heal the hole left in the tooth," said Melina, holding the tooth. When the pain went away, Elaine left the bath and returned to the palace in a fury. Sarah sat down beside Melina and said, "If people don't want help, then you needn't bother with them. You would not be here with me if I followed that mantra, and I want Elaine to live. That is why I did what I did," said Melina, cleaning the bloody wisdom tooth with her towel. "How strong are you? It is not every day somebody pulls out a teeth with just 2 fingers," said Cedric with admiration. "She should be glad she jumped when she did. I was this close to punching her," said Melina, shaking her fist, and she added, "My dear Cedric, have you been washing your teeth often?"
I'm gonna go wash my teeth right now.
Cedric smiled, showcasing his lovely white teeth, and then he said, "I better consider what I need to remember what a neat freak you are." And he added, "And what are you going to do with that tooth? Are you going to eat it?" "You know, I don't need much, dear Cedric," said Melina, holding the tooth. "I am going to put it under my pillow." Cedric shook his head sadly, and he returned to the bar. He was not in the mood to hear more of Melina's nonsense. At times like this, he wondered if she was all right in the head. Alright, we read the chapters.